Merry Christmas and Happy New Year for 2022. I so hope that this year is going to be a good year for you and for the world. I hope it makes big inclines and I hope the world starts to heal itself. So welcome back and thank you for coming back to my channel. This channel is not going to be a fast-growing video channel because I have CAA, Cerebral Amyloid Angiopathy, and I've had it for 7 years and I was diagnosed last year. And I'm lucky, I feel, at the moment because it's obviously slowly affecting me. I only thought recently about starting this channel, and most things I'm going to be talking about is how it affected my life, what I'm trying to do. I'm not a doctor. I'm not even really very well versed in what it's all about because the more I read and the more I read, the more it just confuses me. Not confuses me, but, you know, nothing gets written in simple language. You know, it just doesn't. And even when the doctors diagnose you, they're usually blunt and you go into shock, and I don't even think it sinks in. So I am not a doctor. I am speaking to you purely as what's happening to me. I mean, gosh, I hope that I'm alive in 30 years' time and I go, hey, do you know what? Those doctors didn't know what they were talking about. And they made a complete mistake. That's what I hope. So do your own research. Don't take everything that happens to me as it's going to happen to you, because I think if there's one thing I've realized going through this is that everybody is so different. You know, some of the symptoms and that I've seen on the Facebook pages, they don't relate to me. But apparently I still have CAA, and I believe I have CAA. I'm not living in a fantasy world. So thank you for coming back. Please subscribe to the channel. It's not going to be a fast-growing channel. I hope it's not going to be a fast-growing channel as far as experiences and, you know, just whatever. But I would like to know that if you want to talk to me, feel free to message me. I don't always come on the computer, so sometimes your messages won't be opened or answered for a while, but I will read them and you can talk to me about anything, and it's a purely private, so you can say, as long as you don't abuse me, because, you know, how awful would that be? I don't need a troll at the moment, but feel free to chat to me. I wanted to talk today about when I was diagnosed, and that was in 2021. I wasn't prepared for what the doctor was really going to say because I'd never heard of CAA before. But they quite bluntly said, basically, and I can't remember the exact words. I mean, hey, I don't know about you, but I know it has affected my memory. But it's along the lines of, you have CAA, which is Cerebral Amyloid Angiopathy. There is no cure. You will continue to have the neurological symptoms, stroke-like symptoms. Something about it being called the ugly disease, which the more I read, I believe that's a really good name for it. And something along the lines of you will get dementia, or you may get dementia, and also something about personality changes. And what was the other thing? I've forgotten already. And I can remember I asked about lifespan, because the first thing I thought of was, heck, I've had these symptoms for 7 years and now you're telling me I've got something. So I want to know how much longer have I got? I probably didn't really want to know, but I'm so bloody inquisitive. And they said something along the lines of 10 years, give or take 2 years. And then they said, do you understand what I've just said? And I looked at my husband, we go, oh, yeah. Well, we didn't, because when they walked away, we were like, what did he just say? Anyway, I'm going to just talk about a bit about dementia and my take on it. Now, I must admit, for the first few months, maybe 3 months, 4 months after I was diagnosed, I tried to read everything I could read. And the more I read, like, eat this and don't eat that, and do this and don't eat that. I mean, if I didn't eat everything they said don't eat, I'd have nothing to eat. And I'm not a fancy cook. And, we've been trying to lose weight. Both of us have been trying, my husband and I, trying to lose weight. And then we go down, we go up, we go down. Luckily, I have great blood pressure. It most of the time it's like up 120 over whatever. But I've been that way all my life, even though I've been fat and I've been thin. So I'm lucky there, right? But let's go back 7 years ago. So just to recap my story, 7 years ago, I had a whole pile of health issues hit me. I had a retina detachment. A couple of months later, I started having stroke-like symptoms. My neurologist then couldn't, and I'd had 2 operations. I'd had a shoulder surgery. 10 days later, I had a retina repair surgery. Then within 3 months, I had these symptoms, and I had a great neurologist, but just could never diagnose exactly what it was. But the one thing that was obvious to me is it just felt like overnight, and it wouldn't have been that, but suddenly, like, I just couldn't, I couldn't remember things so easy. And to try and carry on a conversation it was impossible. I couldn't remember the words. Then I stopped wanting to be in any social situation. I came like a really bad depression and anxiety. And I went to the neurologist and I said, like, are you sure I didn't have an actual stroke under surgery and something major has happened? Because this is not right. This is not me. So he did a dementia test and I scored really well. And so he said that he felt that it was a thing called faux dementia. So it looks like dementia, but he felt that it was brought on by the depression and the anxiety, which made me feel a little better because, hopefully I was going to get out of my depression sooner or later, which did happen to mostly a big part of what happened. But I stopped talking. I didn't want to carry on conversations. I didn't want to mix with people. It was a nightmare, and the anxiety I felt even having to go into social, situations was awful. Then put on top of that at one point, when I was having the symptoms or the episodes, as I call them, as a lot of people call them, I would get an ambulance, would go off. This is because we didn't know what it was, and we still thought maybe it wasn't actually, even the neurologist didn't think it was actual T.I.As, but he used to call me his mystery patient because he just couldn't put a finger on it, and is a top neurologist. But one time I was actually before I met the neurologist, because I'd been having symptoms, I've been going to a hospital near me, and this one particular time it was Christmas, and I'm just going to mute this so that it doesn't annoy us, but it was Christmas Day, and I was at a family member's house and with lots of other family members, and I had a big episode. Everyone thought I was having a stroke. The mouth drooped, like everything classic. And it was awful because honestly, they were just all stood around me staring. So that really put me off going into any social situations sort of after that. Excuse me. Now, so let's fast forward now to I've been diagnosed, and I feel that I can carry on conversations pretty good now. I do know that I do get a bit more flustered when I have to speak to somebody other than my family members, like my own children and my husband I'm fine with, and my grandchildren. But sisters-in-law, brothers-in-laws, nieces, nephews, I don't know whether that's an anxiety thing, so I don't know, but normally I look at my husband and he'll fill the word in for me, so that's really helpful. But I was having a little look because I know that I've got some paperwork here if you don't mind me having a read. So I found this on the internet, right? So CAA, CAA is an important cause of lobar intracerebral hemorrhage in older adults. Now, I've seen that mentioned a few times. Lobar is a section of your brain, and intracerebral hemorrhage in older adults. Now, in addition to the hemorrhages, and the hemorrhages to me I think are the mini bleeds that you have, which I believe trigger the episodes and stroke-like symptoms, if I've got it right. Now, take into account, it is now January 2022, and in May or June 2021 was when I was diagnosed by a neurologist, because I lost the one from 7 years ago. He moved on and I got discharged. But I haven't seen him since because I'm obviously not bad enough yet. And I don't even go to the hospital if I have an episode, because they come, you feel them going. It's no use running to the hospital. By the time you get the ambulance, it's already gone. Anyway, in addition to these hemorrhages, CAA may present with transient neurological symptoms or an inflammatory leukoencephalopathy is a contributor to cognitive impairment, or incidental microbleeds on MRI scans. So I hope that made sense. And there can be many reasons for cognitive impairment, mild cognitive impairment. Just getting older, we tend to have those things, just forgetting where we just put our keys, etc., etc. But I believe what happens, and I think it all depends on the severity of your bleeds, as to, how badly your impairment gets or how quickly it moves along. Depression and anxiety, as I said, can cause mild cognitive impairments. Strokes and CAA, we know, and we know why. And also cerebral small vessel disease, which I think is what we actually have, because if I've got this right, the amyloid B protein builds up in your brain, to put it quite simply, makes the small blood vessels brittle. They leak and bleed. That's how you get your stroke-like symptoms. Or they can hemorrhage. And I think that's called a cerebral hemorrhage. And then that's big time. That's get to the hospital quick time. And then I don't know what happens to you. I suppose it depends how you pull through that. I don't know. Now, also, I just wanted to kind of tell you the differences. So the differences between mild cognitive impairment and early dementia. Mild cognitive impairment is difficulty in recalling information such as phone messages, shopping lists, and appointment dates. Early dementia is difficulty in remembering recent events and people. Mild cognitive, some difficulties in finding the right word to say. Early dementia is major difficult in finding the right word to say. So between the mild and early dementia, they're basically the same. Mild is difficulty adapted to changes in a particular routine. I've had that for years. I thought that was just old age, which probably was because mild cognitive. Early dementia is finds handling tasks such as doing finances very challenging. Now, I have to say, I've always done the finances. I've always done any technical stuff to, online computer. That is I have noticed that can be tricky for me. I do notice that even the other day, now I'm from an admin background. The other day, I couldn't remember how to get to the point where I wanted to open Gmail. There's no way. I couldn't remember even where I went to get the bloody login how to get to that point. And at the moment, I've got our son living with us, so I felt an idiot. So anyway, he's a good lad. He put a tab up. I just click on the tab. But you see, there's a difference. I've done this forever. I log on to Gmail 2 or 3 times a day. That went out the window. Mild cognitive impairment. Aware of surroundings, but difficulty in judging distances. Sometimes loses track of time. Early dementia. Finds being in unfamiliar locations difficult and often loses track of time. That's very similar. Now, judging distance for me, when 7 years ago again, I had a retina repair. Now, I'm already nearly blind in this eye, and my vision in this eye, I lost my vision for a while, and it took 3 years to come back to a good standard. Now, I have to wear now glasses to read. However, I've actually got lenses in my eyes attached, so I had my lenses replaced, my normal lenses in my eyes, with actually lenses that are the strength of a normal set of glasses, because I always wore glasses. But so judging distances has always been difficult since then. Stability, I always fall over. And there's lots of things that I associated with my eyes. So even now, I trip over all the time. But now I don't know. Is that something to do with what's gone on in here? Because it all started at the same time. So that's very confusing to me. Mild cognitive impairment is difficulty coordinating tasks, but can manage alone. Early dementia finds socializing difficult and needs help with coordinating tasks. Now, the one thing that I do know, I'll get to that in a second. And last one for this, what is the difference between mild cognitive impairment and early dementia? Mild is able to look after themselves, sometimes may feel mildly anxious. That's me. And early dementia may need reminding, and some assistance may appear quite emotional or disinterested. So I don't think I'm at the early dementia stage. Some of those kind of resonate. And mild cognitive. But actually, as I say, I'm 66 and a half years old. Maybe that was just old age. So if I didn't know about the C.A.A, I would just think that was just kind of going on. So just recapping again, back to since 7 years, I always had good vocabulary, but then I couldn't find words. And I just completely stopped speaking to some people back then. I didn't even want to carry on conversations. It was just, I couldn't do it. I just stayed away from it. Normally, I'm really good with where I'm going. I forget what the word would be, knowing directions. And now I've gone to very hard to find directions. And it might even be a place that's a common place I go, but I suddenly look, and I know a lot of people do that too. See, it's so conflicting. Some of these things is what's happened to me for a long, long time. I I can't take direction. So if I'm making a cup of tea, if I've got a visitor and we're chatting and they tell me they want white coffee, 2 sugars, I've got to ask them at least twice. Or you know what I do now? I give them the cup, the coffee, the sugar, whatever, and I say, I'll let you make it yourself, then you get it just the way you want it. Just covers my tracks, but I find that easy. When the neurologist tested back 7 years ago, as I think I just said in here anyway, he found it to be faux dementia, and he thought it was probably because of the depression. And I agreed with him then, but I just kind of feel, even though CAA seems to have been around for years, I feel like he didn't know much about it, or even now, I don't think people in Australia, just don't think they know a lot about it. Okay, but in the past year, let's have a look at what I think changed for me in the past year. And I don't think it was because now I'm knowing about it. I think that I've got it, but I think maybe I'm not brushing it off now. I'm just absorbing it. And my husband, he's a good lad. I think he keeps trying to, I don't know whether he tries to convince me I haven't got it or just forget that I've got it, because, but you know, I don't dwell on this every day. I'm long past that. I did for probably the first 4 months or 5 months of knowing I had it, but it's only now and again, or if I watch movies where the people have got dementia, that really rots my soul. Okay, so, I find it hard to watch programs on TV or whatever that are episodes, because I can never remember, even if we watched an episode one day and then the next day we watch another episode, I often can't remember what happened. So my husband does a quick recap for me, and I find that very annoying. And yet sometimes we can watch a program and I can say to my husband, oh, we've seen this episode or we've seen this program. I mean, it surprises me how it can flick, and I don't know, I don't understand that. I told you about not being able to recall the technical stuff. I mean, that blew my mind when I couldn't find how to get onto Gmail. I'm terrible for not being able to find things. Like, you know, if I put something away, now we make it a joint family event. I tell my husband and I tell my son, like, you know, but the funny thing is, even if I can't find it, and it happens multiple times, when we find it, I never forget again where it is. Got no logic. I used to be able to coordinate things. I can't coordinate anything, and I've got no logic. And that makes it, when you don't have logic, that's very hard sometimes to understand things. And I tend to ask more questions, and when you do that to somebody, I think they feel like you're questioning their ability to do something, and that's a little bit hard. You know, that's a little bit hard, because I do ask tons and tons of questions, but no logic. Don't ask me to coordinate how to pick 3 people up from different locations and get them to an event. I can't do that anymore. Yeah, definitely remembering how to get to places. That's an issue. I seem to have worse, like short-term memory seems to be, like if you tell me something now, I probably forget it in 5 minutes. And, you know, that's annoying. Or if I'm supposed to do something, that can be annoying as well. But here's a freaky thing. I'm actually remembering long lost memories of things that I did in my late teens, my 20s, my 30s, like really weird shit that wasn't exciting, wasn't traumatic, just something that happened, and now I'm remembering them. That upsets me a little bit, because I think I've always heard that people with dementia forget the here and now but can remember back. So that freaks me out. That does worry me. Now, that's all I'm actually going to say about dementia at the moment. I'm going to make another video after this. It might be a few days. I'm actually looking into how you treat somebody with dementia. Like, for instance, I did read somewhere about making a memory book with, say, your son, because you probably eventually won't remember people. But in the early parts of dementia, and I don't think it works later on, but I think in the early parts of dementia, say, just say son comes to visit you, you don't really recall who he is, but you can see, you got to, like, it's a photo album basically, but there's photos of him as a baby and maybe a 5-year-old and then a teenager and then maybe in his 20s, and see mine are in their 40s. So, and then you can sit with this person, and sometimes that just makes the link. I've only got time. Why not make one? Does it work? I don't know. It will make me feel better now. And lots of things I do now is to make me feel better. And and I guess realistically, maybe it's not going to matter one day. It makes me feel like I'm in control. And that's a very important thing for me right now, because I'm a bit of a control freak. And I do feel like I've lost control, that I can't plan, I can't stop where this is going. But in the next video, that's what I'm going to do. I've heard that there's kind of like an etiquette when, and I guess this is not for me, but like, for your loved ones, whatever, it's like, if you start saying things and they know it's wrong, they don't have to correct you. Like, if you say, oh, I went to Thailand, and just say you've never been to Thailand, they don't have to correct you or tell you you're wrong. And so there's a few things like that. But I'm definitely making a memory book, because that gives me something to do. That's about all for the video, because it's only supposed to be a short one, and it's not. It's already a long one. But anyway, I hope 2022 is going to be great for all of us. I did see that somebody actually shared a link from my YouTube channel to a Facebook page, and thank you very much for that. I was really touched when I saw it. I didn't want to respond to it on the Facebook page, but I did see it, and I do thank you very much. And if you've got CAA, or somebody you've got CAA, I'm not going to give you medical advice. All I want to do is just document things, and just to keep you updated. Since the last time that I put up a video, I have had more episodes, and but they're still mild. I don't need to go to the hospital. I don't feel like I've got any worse, like to a bad stage with my memory. In fact, I think I've noticed that my husband seems to be having a memory problem. You can't tell him that, because he won't believe that. But I do worry about my future. I worry more for the people left behind, for those that have got to look after me, because I'm scared I'm going to be an angry person. because I can, if I get into a really bad argument, like really bad though, I really stand my ground, and I don't want to be that, person, because I'm not, like, that's only extreme cases, but I know I've got it inside me to be an angry person, and that worries me because I am surrounded by people that are loving people, and they show me love. My children show me love. My grandchildren show me love. My husband shows me love. Even my in-laws and my sisters, my brothers-in-law, my sisters-in-law, we are all a loving family, and I don't want to be that. Have you had in-depth talks to your partner, to your family? I haven't. My kids, and my kids, the eldest is 42, I think, 42, 43, and the youngest is, I think he's just turning next week 33 or 34. I could work that out if I looked at the dates, but I don't need to do that. I don't need to know exactly how old they are. And if you saw one of my other videos, I only really told my kids a bit more in depth. I think it was maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago, when I got diagnosed. My daughter knew the name of it. I know she Googled it. I know she got her brothers together and had a discussion. But I think because they've never been around when I had an episode, and, well, I haven't been in hospital since last year. So I think they've just put it at the back of their mind. But as I say, about 6 or 8 weeks ago, I did have an episode in one of their houses when they were all there. So that was a good time to tell them. Not the deep, dark depths of it all. There'll be time to worry when the time comes. Anyway, I hope that you're fine. Thank you so much for watching me. Please like, subscribe, and share if you want to. Thank you for your nice comments. Please don't send horrible comments. I don't need it. And I think if you're watching this, surely you're understanding this. I hope whoever you're looking after, or if it's yourself, look after yourself. Feel free to talk, say anything. The comments will come up. I think I've got them on. Maybe that I check them first. I'm not sure, because again, I don't know too much about the intricacies of YouTube. Until I see you again, stay safe. Goodbye.